Hey friends, Ed McDonough here. Welcome to Live Stream Wednesday, coming to you live from Walpole, Massachusetts, and streaming on LinkedIn, Facebook, and on livestreamwednesday.com. Today, I'm super excited to have on longtime friend and executive communications coach, Donna Mack. Donna, Donna is the president of iVoice Communications, and she helps corporate teams create healthy human business connections through effective communications, which obviously I need help with because I can't even read the damn script. So, but that's the coolest thing about being live.
I love it, Ed. You introduced me and then you said sorry. And I'm like, oh, no. But I do have to say, this introduction was fabulous.
Thank you.
It was the Live Stream Wednesdays. When you think of where broadcasting used to be, and you contrast that with where it is now, nice work, Ed McDonough.
Oh, thank you so much. There you go. Look at that. So Donna, we've been friends a long time. Although I haven't seen you in person forever because of COVID. And
right. Friends and neighbors.
So yeah, I know, and I miss those hugs. But anyway, tell us a little bit. You're a longtime broadcaster, and now you're a executive communications coach.
Right.
Tell us about that. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you made that transition from broadcasting to coaching and helping companies.
Right. Good question. Because how does one, Ed, go from being a broadcaster? I started at 18 years old to an executive communication coach a few decades later. It certainly wasn't a straight line, that's for sure. I was in the broadcasting industry for, dare I say, more than 25 years as a news anchor and an editor and a personality and someone who produced commercials and did interviews and things like that. And then around the turn of the millennium, not only was I getting ready to make a change in my life, but I think the world was getting ready, especially with the onset of the internet. It was always challenging to maintain a great broadcasting job for all those years. But during that particular time of life with the internet just booming, it became even more challenging because people, you've heard of simulcasting. You have one person broadcasting live someplace, and then it simulcasts on various other radio stations or broadcast outlets. Well, with the internet, simulcasting became that much more commonplace. So like I said, it was always challenging to maintain a radio job or a broadcasting job. Now it was even more challenging. And plus, I was getting older. I was getting ready for a change. So it was during those years that I made the transition from full-time radio to part-time radio. During those part-time years, I was blessed because I actually was the host and the producer of a show called Vital Women Radio. It aired on Clear Channel Communication in Providence, Rhode Island, and in Worcester, Massachusetts. Great show. I say it was 5.5 years of personal and professional development. And it was during those years that I was not only also able to raise my children, because my kids were little at that time, but I also started my business. And it started, Ed, simply as a business that provided voiceovers to people. It was something in broadcasting that I always wanted to do. So it started as just a voiceover studio. And then from there, I started recording other people's voices and other people's stories. When I think about it, I believe I was creating podcasts before they even created the word podcast, right? And it was through those years that people started inviting me into their companies, first to help them with presentation skills training. And then once I get into companies, I realized, oh my goodness, these people need so much more than just presentation skills training. They need interpersonal communication skills training, one-on-one, how to connect with your boss, with your employees, how to connect peer-to-peer. So that's when my business started. It started under the guise of Donna Mack Communications, and it has since evolved into iVoice Communication, a company dedicated to creating healthy human business connections through effective communication.
That's awesome, Donna. And it's been my pleasure to kind of be in the background and watch you go through these different changes. Because when we first met, you were just kicking this off, right? Years ago. So it's been awesome to see you go through that. So tell us a little bit about, like, who are the companies or the audiences or the individuals that you serve? Because I know you work with both individuals and companies, but tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, as far as individuals go, Ed, I work with people who need greater influence. It could be something as simple as they need to do a presentation, whether it be live or, in this day and age, virtual. There are more and more people who have opportunities to get out there on a Zoom call, and they're connecting with people not only locally or regionally. Now, all of a sudden, they have an opportunity to connect nationally and, dare I say, internationally. It's a possibility. And they might not have experience. So sometimes it's those individuals who call me to help them with things like that. And in terms of companies, it's the companies who call me for that interpersonal communication skills training. Again, sometimes it's the presentations, helping people become calm, confident, comfortable in their own skin, because how you feel as a communicator is directly related with how you help your listeners feel. And very often they also hire me for things like managerial training. Think about it. There are a lot of people who are promoted to become supervisors, managers, leaders for the first time ever. And they simply don't have the communication skills training. And they're struggling with things like, again, how to connect with employees, how to connect with senior leaders, how to collaborate peer-to-peer, or how to represent yourself as somebody who's important in the organization and who can talk about the organization and can really carry themselves in a way that exudes what we call leadership presence or executive presence. These are not easy skills if you've never learned them along the way. So I help companies with training and with leadership training, not only with current leaders, but with emerging leaders or for emerging leaders as well.
Yeah, and having spent 25 years in the corporate world, learning that through the road of hard knocks, having someone like you in their back pocket is got to be tremendous for them.
Well, and when you think about it, talk about learning through hard knocks. Yeah. I mean, I was 18 years old when I got into the broadcasting industry, male-dominated industry. It's still a male-dominated industry. Can you imagine what it was years ago?
Yeah, for sure.
With zero skills, with absolutely zero skills and no mentors. There really were no mentors at that time. Certainly didn't have any female mentors, a couple of male mentors along the way, but it was certainly a different world. So, but it is amazing. It is amazing. You're right. When you learn through the class of hard knocks or the school of hard knocks, how those skills really stick, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, although if I could have had you and shortcut it all, I wouldn't want gone that way for sure.
Thank you.
So, I love what you do, and I know a lot of this is based on your 5-pillar methodology. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Like, kind of just take us through that real quick.
And we're not going to end at 5, Ed. We're going to end at 6.
Okay.
Because it's called the 6 pillars of mindful communication.
6 pillars. Okay.
6 pillars of effective communication. Thanks so much for that question, because that really is one of my signature pieces. I wrote a couple of books in 2016 and 2017, but in 2012, when I first started this work, I did create something called the 6 pillars of effective communication. And in a nutshell, it's a support system. It's a support system that helps not only support you, but guide you, whether you're ready to do a formal presentation or an informal presentation, or whether you're ready to just have one of those really hard, challenging, but crucial conversations with someone. And we always start at the end, okay? We always start with pillar number 6. And pillar number 6 is called detach from the outcome, which kind of doesn't make sense to some people sometimes, but it's paradoxical. So I'll give you a little bit on that. When you are detached from the outcome, that basically means you are calm and confident and you're comfortable in your own skin. vitally important, because how you feel, again, is directly related with how you help your listeners feel. So how on earth can you get to the place where you're calm and confident and comfortable in your own skin? You have to do the work. You have to do the work and get to the point where you say, I am prepared. I am prepared. I've done the work. And it's more important to be present, right? To be right here, right now, and present with these people, instead of all sorts of concerned about various things that you shouldn't be concerned with at that particular point. And there are two things that the majority of people are concerned with when they speak and when they communicate. Number one, they're concerned with perfection. And I will tell you right here, right now, there's no such thing as perfection when it comes to effective communication. I mean, we do, of course, strive for excellence as best as we can, as you see right there. There's no such thing as perfection when it comes to effective communication. But the other thing that people concern themselves with is perception. Think about it. They're up there, they're speaking, and in their minds, they're saying to themselves, oh my goodness, how am I being perceived, right? What are people thinking of me? You know what? You already did that work. As you prepared for the speech, or as you prepared for the Zoom call, or the interview, or whatever it is, but even the hard conversation, you've already taken into account who your listener is or who is in your audience. So again, once you get up there and out there, know that your mind, watch out for those, I call them the gremlins, right? You're going to hear, oh my goodness, are you being perfect? And oh my goodness, how are they perceiving you? It's your job as the effective communicator to do your best to push them away and to say, I'm prepared, and it's more important to be present right here, right now, and connect with my listeners. That's pillar number 6, detach from the outcome. And again, you can get there by working the pillars 1 through 5.
Right. That's awesome, Donna.
Thank you.
It's again, I followed you through this process, and I love the fact that you had the structure for people to follow. I think it makes it really easy for them to understand it. And this works, I just want to bring this up again too. This works whether it's a virtual communication, via Zoom or a conference call, or even on the phone, or right in person. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, it's interesting that you use the word structure or process, Ed, because that does make life easier. Think about it. I mean, the majority of people that you're speaking with on a day in, day out basis are business owners, and processes are everything. So yeah, the 6 pillars of effective communication or mindful communication, it is a process. And there are guidelines to follow, which are so helpful. And we also have, obviously, guidelines or processes to help people who are creating a presentation. For example, we have the 5-step process. This is how you start, this is how you end, and this is the process that you work through. So you have some kind of structure. So you can organize before you get up and out there. And there's even a process for, again, those hard conversations. This is how you answer questions, right? For example, there's something called headline, example, comment. When somebody poses a question to you, you want to answer that question as directly as possible, as opposed to being all over the place. So it's your job, again, as the effective communicator, to answer it directly with a headline, following it with an example, okay? And you follow that with the wrap up, all right? So headline, example, and then comment or wrap up. It just makes it easier for you as you prepare, and it actually makes it easier for the listener too to follow you. Yeah. And I want to throw this out there because we spend so much time in self-awareness and really understanding who we are as communicators, what our strengths are and where we're vulnerable. But at the end of the day, once you spend that time to figure out who you are, what's working and where you might need some help, then you say to yourself, you know what, it's not about you, it's about them. Yeah. How can I help them? How can I serve them? And when they feel that and they know that, that's how you create that bond. That's how you create that connection. And that's how you begin to create trust, right? Create trusted relationships.
Yeah, awesome. Fantastic stuff. So I know a lot of what you do is based on mindfulness.
Yeah.
And we can't not have this conversation and talk about that. So talk to me about mindfulness and how that fits into what you do.
You know, I believe I always interjected a bit of mindfulness into my work. And mindfulness, basically, the definition of mindfulness, according to Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, who brought mindfulness to this country a little more than 40 years ago, mindfulness is awareness. That's it. I'm mindful. I'm aware. Mindfulness is awareness, awareness of what you're doing in the present moment, non-judgmentally. Let me say that again. The definition: mindfulness is awareness of what you're doing in the present moment, non-judgmentally, or as non-judgmentally as possible. Easier said than done, right? Take the awareness and the present moment. We need mindfulness more so now than ever, Ed, because we live in this crazy, busy, distracted world. How often are our minds distracted? Statistics tell us that 50% of our days we're not even here. We're not even present. We're either worried about the past, right? Concerned or regretful of something that may have happened in the past, or we're overly concerned about the future, things that sometimes we don't even have control over. So knowing that 50% of the time we're not even here. Again, our minds are not here, present, in the present moment. Again, it's our job as the effective communicator to know that and to do our best to be here, right now, in the present moment. And think of how this relates with how we connect and how we communicate with other people. When you are really there and you are present, whether you're doing a presentation, if you're really there with your audience, or if you have to have one of those hard conversations with your boss, with your employees, if you're providing feedback with someone, if you're really here and you're really present, you can connect. You can connect like heart to heart, person to person. And that means so much, especially right now when we're living in, again, this crazy, busy, disconnected world. I don't know about you, Ed, but especially post-pandemic, I need my people, my connections, more so now than ever. And the good news is, in business, they are understanding this too. They are understanding the importance of connecting, really caring and being thoughtful and empathetic and having the ability to create those healthy human connections. They understand this more so now than ever.
And that's great to hear, because it wasn't always that way, right?
No.
So it's great to see that shift's coming along. And with all the downside of COVID, a lot of great things have come out of it. Companies are allowing people to work from home when they didn't think that would work before, and understanding putting a higher value on communication with teams and how to do that. So I just think I think it's all amazing.
It is an amazing time, and you're absolutely right. I think pre-pandemic, they were starting to get this. They were starting to understand the importance of creating those healthy human connections through high-level business communication. I call it 21st century updated skills.
Yep.
But you're right, more so now than ever. And I'll tell you, if I am speaking to a company today that's really struggling with the workforce, and, they're asking themselves a lot of questions like, should I maintain these employees, or how do I retain my greatest, best employees? Feel free to give me a call just to have a complimentary conversation, because before you either let someone go, or even before you promote a new person or a group of people into those leadership positions or those managerial positions, ask yourself the question, are they ready? Because so many people are promoted into those positions, Ed, because they're great employees, right? They're great workers, and they've been able to really be, awesome in their skills, in their specific technology or their specific process. But ask yourself the question, do they have those leadership skills?
Yeah.
Do they have those communication skills that are so needed and necessary in the 2020s and beyond? Because they don't come easily and naturally. These aren't skills that you're just born with.
Right.
These are learned skills. And may I add one more piece to that too, Ed?
Absolutely.
If there's an individual listening today, I know there's a lot of media out there right now. I've read a lot of articles, a lot of blogs and vlogs that are talking about the possibility of a lot of women and men too leaving the workforce, like vacating their job. I'm going to change everything, especially post-pandemic, because I think they do realize, and their values may have changed, right, post-pandemic. But I do say, before you leave, right, before you leave, of course, number one, make sure you're economically self-sufficient. That has to be number one. But don't automatically assume that life is going to be easier, that life is going to be better. Again, you might want to give me a call or just ask yourself a few questions like, am I able to communicate my wants, my needs, right, my desires? Because a lot of times people are not able to really, first of all, get clear, have clarity on their wants, their needs, their desires, what works for them, and what is unacceptable. It's hard to go in there and say, this is unacceptable and this is not working for me. So ask yourself that question, because guess what? You may leave, say, a corporate job and then start like an entrepreneurial experience. But guess what? You're going to need those skills in that entrepreneurial experience as well. So I always say it's kind of like the yin yang of communication.
Absolutely.
Be able to speak so we can be empathetic and good listeners and build those strong, trusted relationships. And we also need to be clear on what we want, what we need, what we stand for, what is unacceptable. And we need to be able to articulate those skills as well. So are you good? Right? Are you good in both areas? Because we really need both sides of that coin in the 2020s and beyond.
Awesome information, Donna. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So what's on the horizon for iVoice and Donna Mac?
I'm so excited. Like I said, people are starting to get it. Prior to the pandemic, people were starting to get it, and corporations were starting to get it. And things are moving and shaking, which is just wonderful. I'm also really excited too, because I was able to do this before the pandemic, coach and train people virtually.
Yeah.
So I'm working with people not only locally and regionally, I'm working with people nationally now. And actually, I have an international client on the horizon. So keep your fingers crossed.
Awesome.
Yes,
So
somebody I met, and I'm able to do the coaching and the training virtually, and the one-on-one coaching and training, and the group coaching and training as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm so happy to hear that. So I have your info up on the screen. Is this the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Yes, iVoiceCommunication.com is my website. I highly recommend going to the homepage and taking the free communication assessment. If you want me to help you go through the assessment after, I'm happy to. But even if you're not interested in that, take the assessment yourself and then gauge where you are as a communicator, right? What comes easily and naturally. And then it'll give you a good snapshot in terms of your ability to connect not only with presentations, but your ability to have those hard, vital conversations as well.
Awesome. Donna, thank you so much for taking the time to be on Livestream Wednesday today. It's been great to catch up with you, which we haven't done in a while, but it's just great to have you out here sharing this information with our audience. So thanks so much for being here today.
Ed, before I thank you, I must ask, I think we need to go to the prom. I mean, colors, right? I had no idea what you were going to wear today, and it looks like you got me flowers too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, so beautiful, so beautifully. No, Ed, I can't thank you enough for having me on today. We have been old friends, and I really, really appreciate connecting with you again, and really appreciate the opportunity to be on your live stream Wednesdays.
Awesome. Next time we have to do it in person.
Absolutely.
Cool. So hang out for a bit, and I'll catch up with you in a minute. I just want to thank everybody for being here today and watching Livestream Wednesday. Please, 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 if you have any questions for Donna, head over to iVoiceCommunications.com and get in touch with her. She knows her stuff. She's been doing this for a long time, and she can really help you move forward. And obviously, I have to start working with her too because I need help. So thanks again for watching Livestream Wednesday, and we'll see you next time right here. Take care.
Thanks for watching Livestream Wednesday. This show is sponsored by ECE Marketing Services. If you would like to acquire more prospects and generate more sales from your website month after month, take a look at our automated business systems at ecemarketingservices.com.